What's up guys, it's Brandon Childs, and today we're going to be going over doing squats on a Bosu. Now there's two different sides to this where you can do it on the black side and the blue side, and we're going to start off with the black side. The benefits of doing it on the black side is essentially, a lot of times, everyone has some kind of imbalance in their lower half, whether it be in their knee and in their hip. When you're doing it on the flat surface or the black side of the Bosu, and you start going down into the squat, you're going to instantly recognize the Bosu is going to start to shake. This is because there's some sort of instability somewhere in your lower body, and by doing it on the Bosu, it's going to help you identify that, whatever muscle is lacking, you're going to be able to figure out what it is, whether it's you push a lot stronger through your left knee, or whether you have some kind of hip height that you didn't know about before. Whatever it is, you're going to be able to recognize it and help correct it because of the Bosu's ability to put you in a position where you have to do everything neutral in order to do it properly and stay balanced on it. Now the other side of it, if you want to make it more challenging, you flip it over to the blue side. Now you're adding in a little more ankle stability. So what that means is, now that you're on the unstable part of it, where it's not a flat surface, when you stand on it with your ankles, you're going to recognize whether you tend to sit back in your heels too much, or if you sit into your toes too much, or you're going to be able to recognize the weak part of your ankles, whether they roll to the out or inside or not. And like I said, similar to the other side, it's going to put you in a position to where those muscles are going to have to work together and engage properly to make sure you stay nice and flat on it. So if you need help trying to stand on top of the Bosu, I made another video that's to teach you step by step how to safely and appropriately get on top of it. So once you do, get set up, your feet are nice and even, you're using little markers in the other video that I talked about. The first thing you want to make sure that you do is that your pelvis and your shoulders are in the right alignment. You don't want your shoulders rounded forward, you don't want your pelvis dipped down in the front. You also don't want it overly engaged, but you definitely want to engage it up just a little bit to a neutral position where you're adding a little activation in your glutes and your upper back and your abs are nice and stable. So then as you go down, what you'll instantly recognize is you may start to lean to one side. I tend to be overactive on this side, so as you can see, my left side is crunching down. So the Bosu is forcing me to engage my right side to keep it nice and neutral. The other thing you'll notice, if you over-engage your glutes, you'll tend to shift to the front of it. All you have to do to there is just relax your glutes and sit your hips back. Now the other half of it too is if you're not engaging your glutes enough, you'll tend to roll on your back like that, which means you're using too much of your lower back. So you want to make sure it stays nice and flat and try to get as low as you can while maintaining the proper posture. And the lower you go, as you can see, you'll notice the Bosu starts to shake because there's imbalance in my legs to help when it comes to stabilization. It's perfectly normal. It's just your body naturally trying to correct itself. So now, same concept on the blue side of the Bosu. You want to use these little rings to make sure that you're nice and neutral on it. And what you'll instantly recognize is now, there's a lot more instability. You're not on that flat surface that gives you that ankle support. So as you go down to the squat, your shoulders are back, pelvis is up, everything's nice and engaged the way you want it to. As you go down to the squat, you're going to get a lot more feedback of any kind of muscle imbalances you may have, not just from your hips and knees, but also in your ankles. You may feel, you're pushing down on your toes too much. You may feel that, you roll back on your heels, or maybe you roll to the outside. You want to make sure that you stay balanced on the inside of the foot, which is essentially going to keep your ankles nice and flat. You don't want to roll to the outside because then you're overusing your glutes. So you need to engage those adductors to make sure everything's nice and stable. And then, like I said, same as before, the lower you go, the more challenging it'll be, the more you'll wiggle around. But again, that's the body trying to recognize the imbalances and correct them to keep you nice and neutral. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or requests, make sure you leave them in the comments so that I can continue to make content that'll bring out your ultra instinct.